Sharing one aviation fact every day until I become a pilot. Day 26. Based on the poll results, today we are going to talk about pneumatic system. Normally I would explain this visually, but let's do a quick summary for now. Pneumatic refers to compressed air. When air is compressed, its pressure and temperature increase. Regulating the limits of the air taken from the sources is called pneumatic system. On an aircraft, pneumatic energy can be used in a lot of areas, such as air conditioning, pressurization, anti-ice systems, or motor startup, and many more systems rely on it. Let's now take a look at how the pneumatic system works. Now, what was the deal in the pneumatic system? The air you take, we also call it bleed air. The goal was to send that air to the systems like air conditioning, pressurization, etc. Now, how can we provide this bleed air? We can take it from an engine or APU, but in the sky, if I remember correctly, that had a limit like 20,000 feet or something like that. If we are on the ground, we can take it from GPU, ground power units. Now, we'll talk about the procedure of taking it from the engine. In a normal flight, we take the air from the fifth stage of the engine, which is called intermediate pressure or IP. But in high power demanding phases like climb, we take it from the ninth stage, which is called high pressure or HP. This is the check valve. Once air passes from the intermediate pressure side, it can flow back in the opposite direction. That's what the check valve does. This one is a normal valve. You can open or close this valve whenever you want, but it only allows one-way flow. Anyway, when you're taking air from the fifth stage, the high pressure valve closes so that air from the ninth stage doesn't mix with it. Or if the air coming from the fifth stage and it's not sufficient, the high pressure valve opens and you also start getting air from the ninth stage. The air goes from here and arrives to the pressure regulating valve. Maybe it's also called pressure regulator valve. I might be remembering wrong. This valve checks whether the air pressure is sufficient or not. If it's enough, it goes through. If not, look. The valve sends a signal to the high pressure valve saying insufficient, so that one opens and air can also come from the ninth stage. Then we come to the overpressure valve. This valve checks if there's too much air coming from the pressure regulating valve. Let's say the regulating valve is fully open or too much air is passing through. This valve acts like a safety or protection valve. It closes to prevent too much pressure from entering the system. The air coming from the engine is normally very hot. There is also a fan at the engine outlet. The air coming from this fan joins with the bleed air in a pre-cooler. Of course, through separate pipes. These pipes are in contact with each other, but the air inside them doesn't mix. They only exchange heat. You can compare the pre-cooler to the radiator at the back of a refrigerator. It works in a similar way. So the first cooling of the air happens here. Now look, who's here? The thermostat. Who is the thermostat connected to? Fan air valve. Why? The thermostat checks is the air too hot or too cold. Then it sends a signal to the fan air valve, so the fan air valve either opens more or less, balancing the temperature by adjusting how much fan air is added. Now we come to the solenoid. Who does the solenoid send signal to? Pressure regulating valve. So what do we understand from this? The solenoid says this pressure is enough or this pressure is not enough. Then it connects it to the high pressure valve and helps increase or decrease the amount of the air coming from the ninth stage. Where do all these, the solenoid, thermostat, pressure components go? They go to the bleed monitoring computer. Why do they go here? This computer is basically the system that monitors the bleed air. Then you want your air to go to the other engine as well. Look who's here, the cross bleed valve. When this valve is opened, the same sequence of events starts from here too. So when you open this, you're basically allowing the both sides to be fed together. So in short, the air you take or generate from the APU, GPU or engine becomes bleed air. And that bleed air sends to the system. That's how they get their supply.